this is a lovely thing to do. And the second honour is to be presenting on the British Council materials, which I feel are excellent. Yes, I'm a British Council consultant and I should think they're excellent, but even if I wasn't, I would. So I'm a teacher trainer. I'm a teacher as well. I teach ESOL classes to adults, refugees and asylum seekers in London. And also for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been voluntarily helping with teacher associations in sub-Saharan Africa, and now with the British Council, working with several different associations in sub-Saharan Africa. I am very, very privileged to be working with ELPAC on their next British Council project, which Frederick will tell you all about after my introduction to the resources. What Frederick was saying about ELPAC empowering and developing teachers professionally, this is, of course, what I truly believe in. And I truly believe that all these resources are going to help you become as independent and empowered as possible, and to help with the professional development. If there are any questions, please put them in the chat. I'll be very happy to answer them afterwards if I can. And if you need to interrupt me, put your hand up and I will ask you. I'm going to ask for your interaction during this, ask for you to put your ideas in the chat. So let's see what we know and what else we can learn. Okay, so our objectives today are to see what we need to know about the English Connects resources, what we do know, and how can we use these resources. So it's going to be very practical. We're going to look at the 2 main websites and see what we can find. B, how we can specifically find and use resources on learner assessment, because this is one of the focuses of the project that Frederick will tell you all about later. How can we evaluate the effectiveness of resources? There are, of course, so many resources around. If you look online, if you use your friend's ChatGPT, for example, as well, there are so many. How do we find the good ones? How do we find the stuff that is useful? And of course, this English Connects material, there are really, really useful things there. And finally, Frederick is going to introduce ELPAC's new project, which will be starting soon. I hope that's okay with everyone. So I have a few questions. I'm sure you've seen some of the British Council English Connects resources. Can you name 10 different types of resources? We're going to look at some in a minute, but I'd like to know if you've seen any, what you've seen or heard about. This is the English Connects resources from the websites. You maybe have been to webinars, maybe, I won't give it all away now. Can you put in the chat any of the different types of resources that you've seen or heard about from the British Council English Connects project? See who can put anything in the chat now. If you don't put anything in the chat, I'll presume you know nothing. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I did give a clue about one of them, which was webinars, and we've got some pictures here as well on the slide. That webinar, for example, working with low resources. So webinars is one of them. Anything else? Okay. Podcasts, excellent. Yes, and they are excellent, aren't they? Jamal, thanks for that. Fatma, you put the webinars. Great. Anything else that you know? Okay, well, that's quite good. because if you don't know much, you're going to find out so much from this. Yes, and Frederick's written the website. In fact, there are two. And Jamal, I think you know a lot about this. The newsletters. Yes, excellent. Okay, so let's see if everyone can learn something, and let's deepen the knowledge of those who know some already. Okay, so let me introduce some of them to you. As Frederick said just now, the two main things that we're going to use are these two websites. So the second one, teachingenglish.org.uk, is the main British Council website for teachers, and it's for teachers all over the world. So of course, some of those resources are going to be relevant to teachers in Kenya, and some are not, because some are more relevant, obviously, for teachers in, I don't know, Bangladesh, Mexico, Germany. So it's for teachers all over the world. Obviously, there are some that can be adapted and some which are true and relevant for teachers all over the world. But we need to be a little bit more discriminatory when looking at that website. That was the first one. And then 5 years ago or so, they started this Africa teachingenglish.org.uk website, which is specifically for teachers in sub-Saharan Africa. And it is excellent. Most of these things, I think, will be relevant for teachers in Kenya, some for maybe teachers in rural areas, some with no resources, some for teachers in cities with more resources. And there's a wide range of things that we can find there. We're going to have a look at those in a minute. But first, I wanted to show you some more. Have a look at all these things. So they provide monthly webinars. Now, in the Teaching English, the Africa website, we have webinars from and by African teachers, African presenters, which is brilliant, twice a month. We have webinars on the Teaching English website as well, which would be more relevant to the world. So there's probably 3 or 4, 5 webinars every month. They also have specific days with maybe 3 or 4 webinars in one day, for example, on Teachers' Day. So there's loads and loads of webinars to look at. If you don't catch them live, you can get them all recorded afterwards as well. And this is a wonderful resource because you can watch part of them, you can watch them with a friend, with a group, you can adapt them to your own reality and context. You can listen to them without watching them on your phone, for example, if you're out and about. And you can get the PowerPoint from them as well and look through that. So a brilliant resource, that number 2. What I find one of the best resources is number 3. Each of these websites have a search button top right. And you can search for anything. And we're going to have a look at that in a minute. And this is going to help you navigate the enormous amount of materials on these 2 websites to find things that are most suitable for you. Number 4 is the courses, and these are excellent. So if you want to do a course on many, many, many different things, we're going to have a look in a minute and see the types of courses that are on offer at the moment. These are all free. You can do them on your phone and or on your laptop. They are supported and you can get specific help with them. A lot of them have a workbook that you can download as well. You can do them all in your own time. You can skip through things if you don't want to do all of them or you find one bit not very relevant. And you get a certificate at the end if you complete it, and you have different access to different platforms to chat to other people who are doing them. So who knows, you might meet people with the same interest. Brilliant courses. Lesson plans. Who doesn't need a good lesson plan sometimes? These are excellent. They can be, again, adapted to any reality, any type of class. Publications. We'll have a look at these as well in a minute. Loads of really good publications. Of course, a publication takes a bit longer to look through and become familiar with than a lesson plan because there's more in it. But you might be able to read it together with some friends, divide it up, read a bit, feedback to each other. Really relevant publications there. Teaching tips on the Africa website. These are really quick. You could, for example, look up one each day, try it out. Really good and practical. There's the Telegram discussion group, which discusses the webinars. This is for teachers in sub-Saharan Africa. That's very lively, sharing loads of material and discussing the webinar as it's going on and afterwards, often with the webinar presenters. The monthly newsletter, I think Jamal mentioned this, you get it sent to your email with a load of really current options, current lesson plans, current webinars, chats, anything which is relevant to the current month. There's loads of training materials if you're involved in training other teachers. There are lots of case studies and research if you're interested, or if you're doing research yourself or going to present. And there are professional development resources that you can use alone or in groups. That's not all, that's just some of the resources. And of course, they are all vetted, checked, accurate. They've gone through a big millstone at the British Council to make sure they are okay, which is not the case for many things that you find on the internet, of course. Out of these, which do you think is potentially most useful to you and LPAC? Could you put a number or a name of one of these in the chat? Number 5. Yes, the lesson plans are brilliant, Tiberius. Have a look at them because there's so many different topics. We can have a look in a minute. 4, the courses. Yes, Nancy, these are really, really useful. I've done a few of them. And of course, it would be impossible to do all of them all the time, but doing a few of these, going into something more deeply is great. Jane, yes, teaching tips. Danson, yes, you agree with the 4 courses. Jane likes the courses and the teaching tips. Excellent. 12, the case studies. Yes, for Jack. Now, very relevant for people doing research. Professional development, Nancy, great. Nelly, you like the teaching tips? Yes, we'll have a look at them in a minute. Purity, the lesson plans. Leonard, the monthly webinars. Brilliant. And Fatma, the... oh, do we actually have a number 11? Oh, yes. My thing was covering it. 11 is the podcasts, of course. Yes, which I forgot to mention. Thank you, Nancy, for mentioning them. Okay, excellent. So it looks as though there is something for everyone there. Albert, the training materials. Mary, the monthly newsletter. And everyone's saying different things, which is excellent. Let's have a look at some of those in a minute. And before we do that, let's have a look at my question number 2. I'd like you to think about how we can use them, because it's not just looking at them and then forgetting about them and going back to our normal everyday teaching. It's about changing and developing our normal everyday teaching and making it something different, better, improving it. So can you think of 10 different ways you can use all these different resources? Can you write some of your ideas in the chat? And then again, I'm going to share some of them with you, some suggestions. Any ideas? I have mentioned a few as we went on. How would you use some of those resources? Okay, I'll give you an idea to start you off. Okay, so I think I mentioned this idea already. You can choose one of the webinars and watch it with your friends and adapt it. Change it to your context. Say, oh, that wouldn't work in Kenya. That would work in Kenya. That might work in Kenya. Let me try it out. Okay, so you're not expected, even though it's British Council, of course, you're not expected to treat everything as a wonderful resource. It's only wonderful if it's relevant and if it can help. Okay, so British Council really want you to apply it to your context, to discuss it. Yep. Great. You've got loads of ideas coming up here. Yeah, teaching tips to enhance your teaching skills. Yeah, that's a good one. Just look at them. Try out something. Excellent, Mary. Yeah. What else have we got? Podcasts. Yeah, podcasts, Fatma. They're not so much for teaching listening skills. They're more for teachers to listen to find out different ways of working with the materials or different ways of trying out different things, for example, more for teachers than for students. Lesson plans, Tiberius, yeah, for a more learner-centered classroom, yeah. And these lesson plans, of course, they're not teacher-centered. They are basically learner-centered and, yeah, useful for teachers. Courses, yes, Danson, yeah. Learning how to teach pronunciation, grammar, yeah, all of these things, great. Comparative analysis, Jack, yes. So comparing two lesson plans, comparing two different pieces of research, for example. Excellent ideas, everybody, well done. Teaching tips to sharpen your skills and meet the learner's needs. Thank you, Irene. Yeah, great. Great ideas. Thank you for all your contributions there. I'm going to tell you a few more ideas, and some of these are the same. So, different ways you can do it. I hope LPAC are going to be promoting a lot of the webinars in the channels that you have, on the platforms and channels that you have with LPAC. And you're very, very welcome to watch all the webinars live. Now, you do need to sign up for the British Council webinars. You need to register with your email, and then you get the link sent to your email. And you need to jot down the password, and when you go into the Zoom link, you need to put the password in. Okay, so it's just like a normal webinar. You can watch it live, you can interact live, you can ask your questions, or of course, number two, you can watch the recordings, which are great as well. Of course, you can pause them, just watch bits, discuss them, and do whatever you like with them. Number three, watch selected parts of webinars, discuss them. This is good in a group. It could be in a small community of practice, you with a friend. Yeah. You can apply them to your own classes, change them, adapt them, compare them. And please feel free to pull them apart and dissect them and really think, is this useful? If not, why not? If so, why? What are we going to do with them? Number four, this searching is brilliant. We're going to see that in a minute. Search for a resource on a particular topic, something you need, for example, for training, for teaching. Search for and choose a lesson plan. Try it out. Then maybe tell somebody else about it. It might not work. Maybe your learners are not interested. Maybe you did it wrong. Maybe it's not relevant to your class. Yeah, this is all part of learning. Number six, select a teaching tip, try it out. You could do that every day if you wanted to, couldn't you? Just 5 minutes, read a teaching tip, go into class and try it out. It's very good for revitalizing teachers who have been teaching quite a long time, maybe, and need something else. And or for new teachers. Number seven, do any of the above in pairs or groups and discuss. Number eight, the courses. So you can register for and do a course alone. That's great because there's other people on the course and you can interact with them. Or even better, do it with a fellow teacher or with a group. Then you've got more to talk about. You can help each other if you can't register or to need support or to discuss the ideas, even better. There's also lots of articles. I didn't tell you about the articles. Articles about teaching. And you can search for and read an article, number 9. Number 10, read a publication, divide up the chapters and read one chapter each and share it. That's a very efficient way of reading a publication because then you only need to read one chapter, but you get to learn about the whole publication. 11, podcast. 12, Telegram group. 13, use one of the ready training sessions. And this is for teacher trainers who are educating others. Loads of really, really useful training sessions there that you can use. Okay, so loads of things we can do. I'd like to go back now and have a look at the two websites and show you a little bit so that we can see these in action. Okay, so first of all, let's look at this Africa Teaching English website. Is it going to go? Yes. Okay. Can you see my screen now? Hopefully it jumped to sharing the website. Is that okay? British Council Teaching English Africa?
We can't see it, Linda.
You can?
It's still on the slides.
Oh, okay. So this means I need to stop sharing that. I know that happens sometimes. And I'll share the website. Okay. Can you see the website now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Right. So this is africa.teachingenglish.org.uk. You've got all these tabs at the top. Have a look at the top there, top right, there's the search button. And if we put in there, let's put assessment in there, it will take you, I hope this is going to continue to share. Are you still with me? Can you see the search and all the peer and self-assessment? If it didn't go here, please tell me, because I'll need to stop sharing and share again. Is that okay? Okay, so here on this search screen, I put in assessment and I've got, look at that, so many different articles, tips, publications, lesson plans. In fact, there are 3 pages of them, and that's just on the Africa website. Okay, so we have, for example, what about this? Gender responsive pedagogy assessment approaches. If I lose you at any point, if it stops sharing, please let me know and I'll unshare. So this is different stages of making your assessment gender responsive. And here on the right, you have more resources, gender pedagogy resources for teachers, a survey, and a free copy of a publication, Exploring Gender in the African Classroom publication. You just need to click on the icon and download that. So each thing you go to, it takes you to more items there. Okay, so the search button is probably one of the best, most useful things to use. Please help yourself with that as much as possible. I'd like to show you under the Understand English in Education. It says publications. Okay, and there are several very interesting publications here. Of course, all very, very relevant to classrooms in Africa. That action research one, Learning from the African Classroom, excellent for people who fancy doing a bit of action research. Very simple research. It's not university level research. It's trying out something in class to see how it can improve. Language policy, politics, developments, all of those things. But my favorite one from here is this one at the top, Developing Leadership Skills for Teachers and Teacher Associations. I was involved in this. There was a course called Future Leaders of English Language Teacher Associations last year, and I got all the participants, this was from 4 or 5 different countries in sub-Saharan Africa, to work on a chapter each, to work on one of the leadership skills each, and to apply it both to teacher associations and to teachers. So there's chapters in that on, for example, motivation, time management, accountability, planning, all those sorts of leadership skills from the world of business, but applied to teachers and teacher associations. please have a look at that. It's very, very useful. If we look at the Teach English in the Classroom section, we have lots of activities, pronunciation, grammar, for example, developing teaching skills. That's where we have the webinars and the teaching tips and the professional development resources. Attend an event is where we have all the webinars that are coming up that you need to apply for, register for in advance. Next one coming up is Understanding Child Protection in Schools. And that's on the 8th of June. Okay, so much there. I know we're just whizzing through it, but I would like you to have a look at those and familiarize yourself with them. I've now clicked on the teachingenglish.org. Can you see that one, or do I need to share again? This is it says what's happening on Teaching English in April and May 2024. I hope I'm sharing the right thing. Okay, again, so there's a search button here at the top. Search for anything, and you will get a lot more here than on the Africa website, because there's a lot more in it. This is the one for the whole world. We'll just have a look now at these training courses, because this is one that some of you are interested in. These are all the courses running from April last month to March next year. You can do them in your own time, but there's usually a date when you need to sign up by and a date when the course closes. This one, the top one here, Motivating Activities for Primary. You can enroll on that until the end of May. Great. Managing Learners and Resources. Excellent course. Enrollment in the class is, enrollment on this is closed, but if you're already enrolled, you can carry on. Gender, this is the next one you can enroll on. You can enroll on this until the 21st of September. This is interesting because it's learning to recognize different types of gender bias and stereotypes. These are things that we are probably not even aware of, and trying to make our classes equal and bring equity into the classroom. Inclusive classrooms, very important topic, to include everyone with disabilities, abilities, everybody equally. There's a course on safeguarding learners that you can access from next week after the webinar. Okay, so many courses. There's bound to be at least one which is relevant to you. I suggest you work with a group maybe, and each person do a different course, or each pair do a different course and work through them. I think the project is going to help with this as well. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that website and go back to my slides, if that's okay. Okay, so we've had a really, really quick little tour around those websites just to give you an initial idea. You're going to have to need to look at those in your own time, try them out and work together. We looked at all these different things we can find. We looked at all the different ways we can use them. This is what we looked at just now, and those 3 pages of resources by looking up assessment. And it's a different range of resources like articles, recordings and slides of webinars, class activities, teaching tips. There is so much there. If you put the same search, which we didn't, into the Teaching English website, you get 25 pages of resources. Now, this is far too much, really, but check the first few pages first, because the most relevant resources are on the first few pages. Then it gets a little bit vaguer after that and more tenuous. You have courses about assessment. You have webinars and recordings and the slides. It's often good to see if it's worth watching the recording of the webinar, to look at the slides first to see if you can learn enough from that. Of course, we're all teachers, we're all busy, we don't have too much time available. There are loads of articles, lots of research. For example, look at this visual here. There's this publication by the British Council, Assessment, Attitudes, Practices and Needs. So this is a really relevant publication, all ready for you, waiting on the website. Okay, help I've put there. Too many resources. Where do I start? So we need to access all these resources with a bit of wisdom and critical thinking. Don't just take the first one and do something with it. We need to think about how effective these resources are. So how can we evaluate the effectiveness of the resources? Any ideas? How do you normally evaluate the effectiveness of any resources? Do you just take any resource, Google resources, take one, take it into the classroom? What do you normally do? See if we can have any ideas in the chat. And you're very good, I've noticed, at interacting in the chat here. Good, there's somebody here who's doing gender in language education. Khadija, excellent. Sign up for that course. Yes, look at the context, Danson, excellent. You've got to, haven't you? So some of these resources, especially on the worldwide site, are not really intended for your context. But sometimes you can find, for example, a lesson about, I don't know, sport in Brazil. Maybe it is relevant because your students are interested in sport in Brazil. Francisca, yeah, sample the different resources. Yeah, try them out. Contents, look at the content suitability. Firo, yes, great. Okay, yeah. So you need to think about what you're doing. I've got a few ideas here, some points to consider. Yes, and you've said some of these already. The relevance to your context. How effective will they be? If you want your resources to do a specific job, you need to think of, will this resource do that job? Nothing is magic. And we are the people managing the resources. We need to do that, do our job with them. Number 3, what feedback will we get or do we get from learners or teachers? Try them out, try out the feedback. 4, I think they have to be adaptable and flexible. Maybe the lesson plan is for 50-minute lessons and your lessons are 30 minutes, I don't know. So you've got to be able to adapt them to your reality, adapt them to different students for differentiation. How culturally relevant are they? Number 5, how easy are they to use? This might be really important. Obviously, something which is far more useful, you're willing to devote a little bit more time to use them. Is there any tech involved? Any digital tools? Do you know how to manage those? And number 8, how much of my precious time will it take? Time is precious in this world. We need to value it and use it well. How long do I want to watch the whole video, the whole webinar of 1 hour, or maybe will 10 minutes be okay? How much will it take? How much time will it take to watch it, to read, to use, and to learn from it? Some of the points to consider. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Frederick, and he's going to tell you about the LPAC project this year, which is going to be using a lot of these British Council resources and going to be focused on assessment in lots of ways in your classrooms. Over to Frederick. Would you like to start now? And I will move the slides on for you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Linda. You've already said everything and taken us through the website. And I think my work is I just have to introduce what we are going to do with the teachers. But before we do that, Linda, you'll allow me to just recognize the presence of our guests. There are so many guests here who have come. We have Jamal from Tanzania representing TELTA, the association in Tanzania, and I think he has his group. Feel welcome. We have Seth from Burundi. We have Rukundo from Rwanda. And then we have Kimathi, who is a member of LPAC, who is still studying at Exeter College in UK. And then we have some of my colleagues that were examiners with in paper 2, English paper 2, they're examiners. They are also here. We have people from Uganda, UNELTA, who are collaborating with us. We have our guests from Kenya who are not members of LPAC. And we have LPAC members from Nairobi, coastal area, and Siaya, and some teachers also in Siaya who are not members of LPAC. And our people in our virtual platform, which has over 400, some of them are here, the LPAC virtual, ELF virtual. So feel welcome. And I would like to request those who are here, you can introduce yourself in the chat. If Rukia maybe will not recognize you or has not recognized you because you came late, just introduce yourself in the chat. Thank you very much. So LPAC project this year, thank you. First of all, I would like to appreciate the British Council, Sub-Saharan Africa, for allowing us to collaborate and work with them in this project. This project is something that we are going to run on what Linda has talked about. And we are going to run this project for 10 months, right from today, for 10 months. And you can now scroll, Linda, to the next slide. Yes. So as I have said, the focus of our project, out of all those that you've seen that Linda has shared with you, there are so many that we can get from the British Council website, but we are going to focus mainly on assessment and feedback. So that will be our main theme that we'll focus on for the 10 months, right from now up to March. So what is our main project goal? Our main project goal, I think most of you can read it from the slide, to optimize and refine assessment and feedback processes derived from the bi-monthly themes in order to foster English language teaching and learning outcomes for students across diverse proficiency levels and learning preferences in schools, institutions whose teachers are members of LPAC Professional Association, English Language Professional Association of Kenya, LPAC, and also we'll work with the teachers because those are the potential members. Those who are not already members, they are welcome. We'll also work on them to achieve our goal for the project. Next slide, Linda. Thank you very much for that one. As a teacher, I know there are so many people following, and I wanted to confirm if most of us are following what you are saying. And I would like to ask Frederick Omalo, if you are there, can you read for us what you can see on the screen? Frederick Omalo, feel welcome and read.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. The project aims to establish a robust foundation for leveraging Teaching English and Teaching English Africa websites as the effective tool for assessment and feedback, ultimately leading to enhanced teaching experience for the teachers involved in the project.
Yes, thank you very much, Omalo. We taught in the same school and we work together. So that is what we are going to do. That is the aim of the project, and we are going to use the website, British Council website that Linda has shared with you, and we are going to adapt them into our context. We will just pick what is relevant, as you've been told, in terms of assessment and feedback, and we try to apply it and see how it can help our learners, because the main thing is to improve the teaching and learning of English. Next slide, Linda. So this project, we have some activities that we'll undertake in this project for the 10 months. We'll deliver this project through virtual professional development sessions, online and offline. Online, we'll work with you through webinars. Every month, we'll have a webinar at least a month. But if those who are involved suggest, you can even have 2, but at least 1 webinar per month, focusing on the bi-monthly themes that maybe I talk about, but the main focus will be on assessment and feedback. So the offline virtual sessions will be, we have we'll create a WhatsApp group. Already we have as LPAC, and we'll be sharing some ideas through the WhatsApp, through Facebook, through our LinkedIn, all that, and our website. We can share so that at least you can read on our own. And then, as we are now doing, those who have failed to maybe to attend our webinars, it will be recorded, and we will share recording through our platforms like the website, WhatsApp, and all that, so that they can catch up. So that is the virtual sessions that we'll have every month from May up to end of February, with the members of LPAC and those who are interested, who have joined us today. Then we'll also have in-person meetings on the same with TA leaders and active chapters who are members of LPAC. We have the active members, like we have the Nairobi chapter, we have the Coastal chapter. In Coast Province, they decided to have what we call Coastal chapter, not Mombasa chapter, comprising of Mombasa, Kilifi, Kwale. So they work as the Coastal chapter. Then we have some members also in
Is it me or is okay?
Pardon? Yeah,
It's
somebody
okay,
called
Chair,
me.
we
Sorry
can
for
hear
that.
you.
Yes,
okay.
thank you. Somebody called me because I'm using the phone, the same phone. So we also have Kisumu, a chapter of LPAC, and we have Better Sierra, which is the Sierra chapter. And we'll also bring some members on board. So when we talk about in-person meetings, we'll be visiting those teachers in their regions, and their leaders will help us coordinate them, mobilize them, so that we meet them for one day in-person meeting, where we can go through some of these activities online. And when they have issues, maybe questions how they are using the website, we'll address such issues when we have in-person meetings. Then at the end, towards the end, maybe sometime in October, we'll also have one-day workshop. We have not settled on the venue, where we can select a few members from the chapters, their leaders, so that we get the feedback on whatever we are now trying to apply. Is it workable? It is that probably we will undertake. I hope you are hearing me. Yes. Next slide, Linda. Thank you very much, Linda. So some of the key milestones that we'll look at, like now we are in May, we look at managing resources. That's the first key milestone that we look at in May and probably a bit of June. And managing resources, if I can just mention a few because of time, most of them we are going to share. We'll look at selecting resources with an awareness of a range of media. And such questions we'll ask ourselves as teachers. What different kinds of resources can I use to engage my learners in terms of assessment from the British Council website? Selecting resources with an awareness of a range of tools, the online tools, which can facilitate collaborative production of classroom materials, and many others. That is May and June. In July and August, we can now go to understanding educational policies and practices.
Kwema.
Yes.
Niko na zoom kidogo.
Sorry. And when we talk about, somebody can mute that one. There's somebody talking on phone. You'll excuse me, I didn't talk about this. We are going to use, some of us are teacher educators and some of us are teachers. So the kind of tools we are going to use will be beneficial to teacher educators and also teachers themselves who can use it in the classroom. So teacher educators can also use some of these tools to empower some teachers within their networks, like those of us who are at the universities and colleges will use these resources to empower the teachers, those who are training teachers. But the teachers who are here will use some of our resources in the classroom. So I've said in July, August, understanding educational policies and practices. And there are so many themes that bi-monthly themes, we have just selected a few that we look at along that field, like employing professional and pedagogical practices related to goals of education, and in particular, the theories and policies of assessment and feedback, employing professional and pedagogical practices related to inclusive education. How do we include all? When I talk about inclusivity, I think it's a wide area we are going to see in our project. How do we include all, the disability, gender, all those? How do we include in our project? And then adaptation of assessment tasks to suit the needs of our learners. Note that all these that we are going to get from the website, we are going to use them. We'll adapt some to our situation. Then when it comes to October, November, we'll be integrating learning technologies. That is where we'll now practically meet the chapters and then try to interrogate and have the workshop so that we can at least use technology. And we may not look at invite probably people, facilitators, but we'll use those who have been going through this kind of project now to cascade what they have learned. So when we, for example, when we come to share a chapter, we can use those who have been attending the webinars now to cascade the idea to others in the in-person meeting. When we go to Mombasa, we use some of the chapter leaders to cascade, which means we'll be doing a bit of what we call decentering, so that at least we use expertise within, because we believe you are teachers and educators, and if we start something, you are able to use your skills and the knowledge that we have acquired, maybe now to cascade it to members. So LPAC will just be a service provider helping you people to do these things. Then knowing the subject will come towards December and January. And in February, we'll talk about taking responsibility for professional development. How will you take these things that we have learned a notch higher so that you take your own responsibility for your own professional development? Because as they say, the best people to help teachers are teachers themselves, and teachers can help themselves to develop professionally through continuous professional development. When we were in colleges and universities, there wasn't much about teacher associations, but we believe when you are in the field and you are teaching in an isolated environment, if you network with the other teachers, is when now you can address the challenges you face as a teacher in those areas. So I think those are some of the key milestones that we may look at. I've just given you the highlights, but we'll go into details each and every month when we look at them in this project that we are going to undertake together with you and the British Council. Next slide, Linda. Yes, so I think that's what I wanted to talk about, but something that we've started, and we welcome you. Let us work together for the next 10 months, right away from here. Today's meeting was just sensitization and awareness, and we need your feedback to help us improve and work on this. So, as I said, feel welcome. We don't want to take much of your time today. Thank you for attending. Leonard also is there from Rangala Girls, with the team from Rangala Girls. Let them join LPAC, and other people who have been here who are not members of LPAC, you feel welcome to join us so that we can move together. So lastly, let me thank again, Linda, the British Council, Sub-Saharan Africa, for sponsoring this project so that at least Kenyan professionals, English language professionals and teachers can benefit. So we feel great to work with all the teachers. There's only one thing that I wanted to say, that we have started today, but going forward, we'll appreciate some of you when you attend, and I know we are teachers and sometimes people will ask, will I get maybe some bundles? LPAC will see into that. If you are consistent and you've attended the session maybe 100%, if we don't have, maybe we know we have a problem of network kicking somebody out, but they will have a way of managing it. So it is something, just very little reimbursement for your internet bundles, not so much if you attend, but most likely that is something that will confine to LPAC members. And that's why Rukia said that if you join, use your real name and the mobile phone that you normally use. It will be easier for us maybe to look for you, if at all we have some token of appreciation for you. But as you've said, LPAC members, we have very nice activities that we'll share together. We'll work with you. We'll visit you in your areas. And if possible, we'll call a few of you maybe to attend our one-day workshop in a venue that we'll suggest together with your TA leaders. So the TA leaders, the chapter leaders, will be very much instrumental and crucial in this program to help us work with you, because they'll also help to cascade the information. Thank you very much for today, and I'll get back to Linda. If he has maybe one or two things to say before we get back to
just to thank everyone. It's very nice to meet you all, and thank you. And I'm looking forward to working with you more. Anything from Rukia?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linda and Frederick, for that awesome presentation. Just to share a bit that I am going to share a feedback form, and we're going to get your feedback. And I'm hoping to see many of you volunteering to co-facilitate with us these webinars, and also share your ideas on how we can adapt these resources, as well as if you want to also join us in some of these sessions if you are within the areas that we will be. So please be on the lookout for this feedback form. Thank you so much for coming, and I wish you a nice evening. Reach out to us through the email address that I shared there, elpakenya@gmail.com. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rukia. I think we are done, unless there are questions, but they can reach out to us on our email and our contact. So if you have questions, you can put on the chat. So probably, Rukia, they can turn on their camera so that you can take a very quick photo before they leave.
Oh, sure. Let me stop recording now that we are through with the webinar.
You can turn on your camera so that